Hi, everyone. Welcome to HR Bytes, a podcast and video series to bring you stories of everyday people who are driving digital transformations in their organizations, data-driven and future-fit digital HR leaders. Today's guest is Tolu Peters. Tolu is the Deputy Division Chief at the International Monetary Fund's Institute for Capacity Development based in Washington, D.C., and is here today in her personal capacity as an international human resources and operations executive. Tolu has over 25 years of experience in international development, financial services, and consulting, and has worked in multicultural and diverse environments in the United States, Africa, Europe, and the Middle East. Wow, welcome to HR Bytes, Tolu. What an impressive and global HR profile you have. Could you
Yes.
please tell us a little bit more about yourself and your background and role?
Thank you so much, Jay. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for inviting me. We are truly in interesting and demanding times for everyone. And I'm so happy to be able to learn through our experiences. And as you said, I am here in my personal capacity. So my views are not representative of my workplace, but they are my views about the HR space in which we operate. So as you said, I do work with the IMF's Institute for Capacity Development, and my role at the moment is largely in operations and providing operations leadership to the delivery of capacity development to staff within the organization and member country officials. So, but I have had a long history of human resources experience in different aspects of human resources, and human resource is my passion, and I'm so happy to be able to talk about it here today.
Awesome. Well, with the inward focus on employees and the big shift to remote work this past year, due to the pandemic, of course,
Yeah.
digital transformations in human resources have become a necessity. And how do you think the pandemic has fast forwarded tech adoption in your HR organization currently?
Yeah, well, I'll just talk on HR organizations. I think what we have is that the pandemic has taught us a lot of lessons, right? Personally and professionally, on how to be change ready, resilient, innovative, and compassionate all at the same time. And I think that's quite a weight to carry for many HR functions and many individuals personally. And so HR functions today are managing business continuity and responding to a global and unpredictable pandemic. So, an article I read actually speaks to your question. It's by Dave Ulrich in HR's ever-evolving contributions. I don't know if you have had time to see it or you've come across it
Well,
at
he
all.
is kind of the father of modern
I
HR, so I'm
know,
sure we'll come
I
across
know,
a lot of his
I know, I know.
conversations on this topic.
And he said, look, about a year ago, even just before the pandemic, HR businesses and leaders were all encouraged to adapt the future of work. Remember, we didn't know it was going to come so fast, and HR has had to respond to rapid technology evolutions, is what he says. And now HR is actually center stage, needing to reinvent today's and tomorrow's work and adapt to a lot of global challenges, social tensions. We've heard about all the political things going on, economic adversities, that the pandemic has brought. So HR is really central to what's going on here. And HR therefore has had to scale up really quickly and step up to address all these pressing differences and work. I'll just add quickly that some of the tech adoptions that we're seeing as a result of this is we see an increased automation of manual and tedious work. Also, data analysis now becomes really critical. There's also the introduction of intuitive self-service HR platforms to minimize or eliminate manual interventions. I mean, we're all at home, right? There's nobody to be walking to their offices and checking on where's my, how far has this process gone. We've also had to adopt a lot of innovative communication methods and social media platforms to catch staff attention, because to especially important messages, right? Because there's so many competing priorities, personal and professional. So organizations have had to be really innovative in sometimes using video and short modular training to get messages across and to staff in very short bites. So these are just some of the few ways in which adoption has been accelerated.
Absolutely. I like the use of the word bytes there because that's what exactly we are doing today.
I
We're bringing
know.
bytes of information, and
Absolutely.
definitely technology has, accelerated this for us in HR. And by the way, today is National Technology Day. So happy National Technology Day to you.
Well, happy National Technology to you as well.
Thank you. Um, so having been in HR for this long, you are very aware of the fact that for any kind of technology to be adopted within the HR function, there are lots of moving parts that need to be taken into account, and a lot of
Yeah.
different individuals and departments within the organization are involved in that decision making.
Mhm.
What role did your social capital, your connections within your organization, play in generating, incubating, and scaling innovation in HR departments that you worked at?
Yeah. Well, I think the biggest challenge for any HR organization occurs when there's a need for significant change in how HR delivers services to its clients, right?
Yes.
But what is so fascinating about transformative change of this magnitude is that it's not just the complexity of rolling out a new HR platform, right? But also managing the impact on the stakeholders at all levels and engaging to change the existing culture. We do have that saying that culture eats strategy for breakfast, right?
And lunch and
So
dinner these days.
and lunch and dinner these days, you're right. So a culture shift that moves employees from an awareness of the change to adoption of same requires a lot of, internal stakeholders. It requires extensive training programs. It requires communications, coaching. There's so many competing priorities in addition to budgetary issues, timelines, making sure that the project is on course, especially when it comes to an IT project where many people don't always feel very comfortable with IT changes, right? So I think it's really important in leading change of that nature that all stakeholders impacted and even some not impacted need to be carried along, need to be, we need to make sure that we are clear as to where stakeholders are in the process of change.
Absolutely. And what's one piece of advice you have for HR professionals who are looking to adopt or learn new technology?
HR, well, HR professionals, in my view, must embrace technology. I mean, in providing innovative solutions for their clients, they need to be comfortable with change, agile in this new world that we find ourselves in. And the reason why technology is so important, especially for the HR managers and staff, is that it enables greater efficiency and allows you to have better service to clients. It also provides data that is so important for making strategic decisions. And also, as we've seen from rollouts of HR platforms, you find that the whole institution is empowered because they're now able to take decisions straight from the system, right? They don't have to keep ringing HR and finding out where things are. These things come to them through their emails or other, platforms within the organization. So it's important that HR professionals have a very open view about what HR can do for them, right? So, I mean, these are things that I think I would encourage all HR professionals, me as well, because even though I'm not in an HR role, I do still see myself as an HR professional. And, one of the excellent things that technology does, it allows you to have time to be able to do a lot of meaningful work and engagement and build relationships and collaborate across different departments and institutions. And I think that is so fascinating because technology has helped to raise HR's game.
So what can HR do you think, to prepare our function for an increase in the remote and hybrid work environments that we are all now kind of used to? I'm wearing my Zoom
Yeah.
shirt. And how do you think that, we as a function can prepare for this increase in remote and hybrid work?
This is an excellent question. And I say this because remote and hybrid work is inevitable in our new world. It's here to stay, you know. So HR professionals must fully contribute to the business impact because we in the HR profession, we create, we deliver, we capture valuable insights on the organization, and we support leadership. So HR, we must have a heightened understanding of the challenges that staff face at home, what support they need. And it's easy for us to assume that we do know these things, but short surveys can address this and help us to get feedback on what would be appreciated, and many organizations have done that and seen the benefit of this. It's also important as HR professionals to encourage and apply flexibility in managing our programs. We need to review policies that don't add any value to the new way of work, right? We must seize this opportunity of this time to truly recreate what the employee experience should look like, from recruitment to separation. These are opportunities for us to really make tremendous impact. We need to help our leaders. A lot of managers don't know how to manage staff from a remote perspective. We need to help them to encourage check-ins. We need to help them to move past the line of site supervision, where you see the staff and you're able to engage. You have to engage in a different way these days. I say that trust has become the new currency in the relationship management that leaders have to have. Trust is a new currency for that. I mean, it's always been there, but it's now so heightened that there has to be a really open relationship where you understand truly what am I asking of the staff, and the staff is also understanding what is it that my manager wants from me. So this is an opportunity for managers to think and look at what exactly that must change to ensure that they're able to sustain the motivational and engagement of their staff.
Absolutely. I see that as a change from life cycle HR to lifestyle HR. Basically,
Oh,
it has been a shift, right? It's no longer
mhm.
just the employee life cycle, but we are
Yeah,
forced by this virus to be in the lifestyle of our employees in more ways than one, than ever before. So this
I
is,
know.
I think, a great time for our profession and for the work that we are going to do for the future of the entire workplace, so to speak.
Absolutely. I was just going to add, it's funny you said Happy National Technology Day because there was this program on TV last night and it was a tech leadership series, which I just came across. I hadn't actually noticed, or maybe it's an ad hoc program, I don't know. But it was sponsored by Deloitte on WJLA.
Mhm.
And, one of the key things that was said was that we have to think differently about the customer and employee experience. And what they said was that, this is just different sides of the same coin. And I thought that was really insightful, So we must focus on the employees to make sure that we get the quality service to the clients.
Absolutely. And my mantra is consumer driven employee experience. I mentioned
Absolutely.
this in one of my Forbes expert panel articles as well, where, if we are able to order anything at the click of a button in our homes, that
Yes.
should come to our workplaces. It should be
Mhm.
a no-brainer anymore for us because employees are no longer going to pick up the phone or walk in to request something. They want it at the click of a button, and we in HR should be able to provide that to them. So
Yeah.
that's a great
Yeah.
point you bring, and it resonates with my work and my message a lot as well. Um,
Good.
so that brings us to the fun part of today's conversation.
Oh,
I
okay.
have a few rapid fire questions for you. Who is one person you've gained in your network in the last year that you think a lot more people should know about, should connect with, and follow on social media?
One person comes to mind, and his name is Brad Schottenbrand. And Brad works, he's a partner at Guidehouse, which is a global consultancy firm that helps clients navigate complex challenges. So I'm sure he has a lot of work on his plate at this time. He's based in Washington, D.C., and I met him through a community leadership initiative I'm involved in on a volunteer basis. And he agreed actually to be a global mentor in support of one of the programs. I find Brad a very insightful person, and what drew me to him really was how authentic he was. And I think many times a lot of us struggle with authenticity. It seems like we have to put up a show or try and be who we're not. And I found him very authentic and grounded in sound principles. He had this appreciative air about him as to where he's coming from and what alternatives could have happened, and how his mother um, um, supported him, and he had this very appreciative air about him, and that I really liked. And the sound principles I talk about is sound principles to navigate challenges, which is really his work, right? What he does. So I guess that's why he's good at it. And the other thing that endeared me to him is that he's given back. Many people get to the top and struggle to give back because they don't have time. There's a lot of competing priorities, but he has made himself available to mentor within and outside his organization young professionals, upcoming professionals. And so I'm really pleased to be able to at least think of him in relation to your question.
Wonderful. I will add his LinkedIn account information in the show notes if anyone would like to
Okay.
follow Brad.
Excellent.
And thank you for that wonderful connection introduction. He sounds like an
Yeah,
awesome individual to be in our
he
networks.
is. He is.
So, what's one of your favorite HR podcasts?
What favorite is for a season, right? But one that I would like to bring out now comes from a, an HR podcast I listened to very recently on. The title was "Take a Leadership Transformation Challenge."
Okay.
And the reason why it resonated with me, just even the title, was because as HR professionals, many times we're in a situation where we're telling people what to do, how to do it. But it's important that we are also challenging our own leadership journey, right?
Mhm.
And so it was a very interesting podcast by Cindy Masingo and Ralph Sumon,
Okay.
and they were talking about how you transform by making adaptive changes, and how important it is to stick to your goals during this transformation journey. And they mentioned about a few things that could help in that vein, including commitment to a specific behavior. And that caught me because, you usually say, commitment to a specific goal, but this was commitment to a specific behavior, meaning that if you look at it from an exercise point of view, you tell yourself, I'm going to go for a jog every day, but you start well, in the middle somewhere it gets all funny, but you have to speak what you would like to see as well. So whatever commitment looks like, you do that. Also, they talked about accountability, which I think it's a well-known way of making sure you stick on to your goals. Making sure that you do identify an accountability partner and make sure that you're checking in with the accountability partner on where you are in that journey. They also talked about being intentional towards one's transformational, connecting your motivation to the desired outcome. So once you think about why you're in this journey in the first place, what you're hoping to achieve from drive you to, where you want to be.
Wonderful. We'll add that to the show notes as well. That sounds like a great podcast to listen to.
Yeah, it is.
So that being said, what's one of your favorite LinkedIn Learning or e-learning webinar series for HR technology?
Well, I mean, I've already mentioned
Uh-huh.
Dave Ulrich, right? He's somebody that, I follow, and
Uh-huh.
I've had the opportunity to be in his training. So I really enjoy talking about him, but I didn't want to talk about Dave all throughout this. So I did go into CCL because they also have a lot of
Mm-hmm.
excellent podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
And also because I have a passion on leadership, I know that they do a lot on leadership as well. So it was about building resilience in times of disruption. And I thought this was so apt for where we are today, right? And they talked about three key practices which would help us in our resilience building, right? One is managing your personal energy, and making sure that you manage resistance as you manage your energy, making sure you're showing up, giving your best at all times, relinquishing your attachment to the outcome, but just staying in the present and showing up each day, in a way that people want to engage with you, in a way that you're able to be positive in
Mm-hmm.
achieving what it is you want to achieve. They also talked about shifting your lenses,
Uh-huh.
taking charge of how you think about adversity. And at this time, there's a lot of adversity around. I mean, there's a lot of deaths, a lot of illness, a lot of homelessness, starvation. I mean, there's so much going on. And I like how someone put it where they said the numbers start becoming names, and so we have to have a bigger perspective about the situations that we find ourselves, and exercise compassion not only to ourselves but to other people. And I think this is a time in the history of this country, or the world really, where compassion is so much needed. The third was the sense of purpose, and they talked about developing a personal why. Why am I doing this? Why am I here? And it helps you, better face setbacks, challenges, and also look for ways that crisis and adversity may connect to your larger life purpose. So it's not just about the little things that you see, but it's about just stepping back, reflecting, and thinking about how everything that you see going on and how it's impacting on you, and how is that connecting to a bigger picture. And I just thought that was really insightful, and it resonated with my own personal experiences. Things that I have done to make sure that I'm alert and awake and present. E.g., I get up every day like I'm going to work. I don't lounge and then, come in my pajamas to work. I mean, it works for some, so I'm not saying it's wrong or right. I'm just saying that for me to be present, I just need to make sure that I'm maintaining my routine, as I did when we went to work.
Absolutely. It's very important. That mindset is what matters a lot,
Yes,
especially
absolutely.
now. So we've talked about how the, whole world has kind of gone through
Yeah.
this upheaval this past year.
Mm, mm,
And of course our workplaces have really, really been battered. What's one workplace trend you think is here to stay, other than the Zoom shirt?
I was going to say that, I mean, for sure, I think the most obvious is life will not be the same again, even when we do go back to an in-person situation. The pandemic has actually taught us that we're able to move to a seamless virtual environment and be productive. I think many organizations, and when I recall something they said in the leadership tech leadership series yesterday, they said the government has never had this huge culture of working from home. And so they're amazed at how productive and how efficient it is. And really, that's a lesson a lot of organizations have learned, that we're able to manage change of a big scale and still be productive. So that definitely, I think, is the most obvious and is the most important aspect of this pandemic and the lessons that it has taught us. So we need to get ready for smaller offices, more, you know, virtual work, hybrid in some instances, and a whole change in mindset of how the organization relates to its staff and how they manage the staff and how they reward staff as well, because there's that issue of performance management as well, right? Which
Absolutely.
is another
Absolutely.
topic in itself.
Absolutely. And you do a lot of
Yeah.
work in that area, so definitely.
Well, even in my current role, yes, I do. So yeah, and I have worked in performance management in power roles as well. So
Wow.
it's been an interesting journey for that particular practice, HR practice. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you spoke about compassion, and recently we had this event here, a virtual event called Be the Ripple. It's an organization that Joanna
Mm,
Suvarna runs out of the United Kingdom, UK
wow.
based organization, but they had a Kind Fest here in the United States, which was a virtual event, and it
Oh,
was about
okay.
spreading kindness in the workplace, and it was such a nice event. There are recordings of the event on their website if you'd like to watch it. A lot of our HR
Mm.
community folks were presenting and speaking and part of the roundtable there. So
Oh, wow.
that was one very good event that I thought to end the year on. So
Yeah.
how do you enjoy giving back to the HR community?
Well, as you know, I am a leadership coach. I got the certification for that. And so I really enjoy doing a lot of pro bono leadership coaching work. And I do that within organizations, I do that in my community. And I really enjoy seeing people transform from where they are and hearing alternative perspectives or coming up themselves with alternative perspectives of what they can do, and that's really a joy to look at. I'm also on the board of the Northern Virginia Society of Human Resource Management,
Uh-huh.
and that also has been very interesting, excellent network opportunity. It's been great to see what happens behind the scenes, and that I have enjoyed quite a lot. Also, I'm a volunteer director of a community leadership initiative. I alluded to that earlier on, in which Brad is a global mentor, and the essence is really to build leadership capacity in young professionals who have probably 2 to 3 years work experience in one of the programs, and then in one of the other programs, it's really focused at building leadership capacity in managers, young managers, and that has been really rewarding as well.
Awesome. Well, it's been awesome just, listening to you. I think this conversation can continue for hours, but
I
we have
know,
we have a time limitation. So
I
thank you
know.
so much for being my guest today. The insights you've shared will resonate with many, many of our HR colleagues across the globe, and I'm sure of that. And if our listeners would like to connect with you, Tolu, what's the best way for them to reach you online?
I think the short answer to that will be LinkedIn.
Awesome. And I will include your LinkedIn profile link in the show
Yeah,
notes so anyone who's interested can connect with you. So thank you again,
yeah,
Tolu. This
great.
has been just
Thank
awesome.
you.
I have really learned a lot in this short time, and I'm looking forward to
Yes,
hearing more from you and continuing to collaborate with you. Thank you.
yes. Thank you, Jay, and thank you for the excellent work you're doing in the HR community.